The year was 2347. Captain Ray Carter was flying his small spaceship, the Starhawk, through deep space. He was alone, tired, and low on fuel. For months he had been exploring empty star systems. Nothing exciting, just rocks, dust, and silence. But, that night, something changed as Ray sat in his chair, staring at the dark space outside. His screen beeped. Beep beep, a signal. Weak, but clear. Ray leaned forward and looked closer. It was a distress signal. Someone was calling for help, but the source was strange. It was coming from a planet called R9X. That planet was not on any official map. It was uncharted space. Ray narrowed his eyes. "Who's out there?" he whispered. Without wasting time, he changed course. The Starhawk turned and flew straight toward the signal. As he got closer, he saw the planet below. It was dark and covered in thick gray clouds, but under the clouds, he saw something bright. Fire. Ray's ship entered the atmosphere. His scanners went crazy. Heat signatures, explosions, and strange alien energy. He flew lower, and then he saw it. An alien village was burning. Buildings, made of metal and stone, were destroyed. Strange alien shapes moved in panic. Smoke rose into the sky. There were no soldiers, only innocent people running, crying, falling. Ray landed his ship near the edge of the village. He grabbed his blaster and ran into the smoke. The heat was strong. The smell of burning metal filled the air. He saw alien children hiding, others pulling bodies from the rubble. Then he heard a sound, a cry for help. Ray turned and ran toward the sound. Behind a half-collapsed wall, something moved. He pulled away burning wood and saw her, an alien woman, young, injured, and scared. She had silver skin, long white hair, and deep glowing eyes. Her clothes were torn. Blood ran from her arm. She tried to move, but she was too weak. But Ray knelt beside her. "It's okay. I'm not here to hurt you," he said gently. The woman looked at him, confused but not afraid. She whispered something in her language. Ray didn't understand, but he could feel what she meant. She needed help. Suddenly a loud sound filled the sky. WEEEU. Enemy drones were approaching. Black, flying machines, fast and deadly. They locked onto Ray's location. A voice echoed from one of the drones, robotic and cold. "Target located. Eliminate the girl." Ray's eyes widened. "They're after her," he said. He picked her up in his arms. She was light, but weak. Her eyes stayed on his face, full of pain. Ray ran through fire and smoke, dodging laser blasts. The drones fired at him, missing by inches. He reached the Starhawk, jumped inside, and locked the doors. "Hang on," he shouted. The engines roared, and the ship lifted off as explosions lit the ground below. The village was almost gone. Inside the cockpit, the woman opened her hand. She held a small glowing crystal. She placed it in Ray's hand. It was warm, pulsing with strange energy. She looked at him and spoke softly. "K-Reta." Ray didn't know what the words meant, but the way she said them, it sounded like a name. Maybe his, maybe hers. Then she closed her eyes and passed out. Ray looked at the crystal. "What are you?" he said. "And why do they want you dead?" He stared out at the stars, knowing this was just the beginning. Someone had sent a signal. Someone had tried to kill this woman, and now someone would come looking for both of them. Ray Carter had only one thought. "I'm in deep trouble." But still, he didn't regret saving her. Not yet. Captain Ray Carter flew through the stars, heart pounding. Behind him, the alien village was now just smoke and ashes. He glanced at the woman lying on the medbed in the back of the ship. Her silver skin was burned. Her eyes were closed. She had not moved since she gave him the crystal. Ray held the glowing crystal in his hand. It pulsed softly with blue light. It didn't look like any human technology. It felt alive, almost like it was watching him. "Who are you?" he whispered to the unconscious woman. "And what have I gotten myself into?" He set the crystal on the console and checked the radar. His breath caught in his throat. Multiple ships, fast incoming. They were being followed. The enemy drones from the village weren't done. Now larger ships were closing in, black and sharp like knives. They moved in formation, no doubt, military grade. Whoever these people were, they were serious. Ray turned on full speed. His ship, the Starhawk, was fast but not made for battle. The enemy ships fired. Laser blasts shook the hull. Sparks flew. The woman stirred. Her eyes opened slowly. She looked around, confused, then afraid. Ray shouted, "Hold on." He rolled the ship sideways, dodging a missile. The woman cried out and grabbed the seat. She tried to speak, but her voice was too weak. Ray looked at her through the mirror. "Can you understand me?" She nodded slowly. Then, to his surprise, she pointed to the crystal. Ray grabbed it again. "What is this thing?" he asked. She placed her hand over his. Her eyes locked onto his. For a moment, Ray saw something of vision, his mind filled with strange images. A glowing city in the sky, a golden throne, a crowd of alien people bowing, a man in black armor with red eyes, raising a sword, the same woman, running, hiding, bleeding. Ray pulled back, gasping. The vision stopped. "What the hell?" he whispered. The woman pointed to herself. "Illyra," she said softly. Ray nodded. "Illyra, got it." Then she pointed to the screen showing the chasing ships. Her eyes narrowed. She spoke 2 more words, clearly and slowly. "Kill me." Ray stared at her. They want to kill you. She nodded. He shook his head. Not happening. Ray took a sharp turn and flew into a nearby asteroid field. Huge rocks floated in space, spinning slowly. The enemy ships followed, but with less speed. Ray weaved between the asteroids, dodging death by inches. One enemy ship crashed into a rock and exploded, but two were still on his tail. Come on, Ray muttered, flipping switches. He had one trick left. The Starhawk had a small cloaking device unstable, risky, but maybe enough to hide. Pressed the button. The ship flickered and vanished. The enemies flew past. Ray let out a breath of relief. For now, they were safe. Inside the quiet ship, he turned to Alira. She sat up slowly. She looked tired but stronger. Ray handed her water. She took it, nodded in thanks, and drank. Then, she reached into a small pocket on her belt and pulled out a second crystal. This one was red, not blue. She placed it beside the first one. The two crystals glowed brighter. Ray watched. Amazed, Alira touched both crystals and closed her eyes. A soft hum filled the room. A 3D hologram appeared in the error-spinning star. Map. Ray stared. What is this? Alira pointed to a small red star on the map, then to herself. Then to the black cloud near the star. She drew a circle in the erect explosion, then crossed her hands. Death. Ray understood. You're home. It was attacked. She nodded. Her face showed pain. She wiped away a tear. He looked at her again. You're not just some alien girl, are you? She paused, then slowly reached into her top and pulled out a small medallion. It showed a glowing bird, wings open wide. She placed it in Ray's hand. He stared at it. It was a royal symbol. She was a princess, or maybe something more. That's why they were chasing her. Ray leaned back in his seat. You saved the crystal. You escaped, and now you're being hunted. I looked at him, then said softly, You help. Ray smiled. Yeah, I help. Just then, the radar beeped again. More enemy signals coming fast. Ray stood and looked at her. You're not going to die out here. Not on my watch. He turned on the ship engines again. The chase wasn't over. It was just beginning. The asteroid field was behind them now. Captain Ray Carter and the alien woman Alira had escaped for the moment. Ray flew low through a quiet region of space. He didn't trust peace anymore. Too many surprises, too many enemies. Alira sat quietly behind him, her silver eyes watching the stars. She still said very little, but now, she understood some words. They didn't need much language. There was something between them, trust, even without speaking. But trust was about to be tested. Fuel's low, Ray said, checking the screen. We need to land. Alira stood and pointed to a nearby moon. It looked cold and empty, but Ray nodded. Worth a try. The Starhawk landed on the moon's rocky surface. Everything was quiet, no signs of life. Ray and Alira stepped out into the gray dust. They walked toward a large cave. Alira moved slowly, her body still weak. Ray kept his hand near his blaster. Inside the cave, lights flickered on. Someone was already there. A tall man stepped forward from the shadows wearing dark armor and a red cloak. He had a beard, glowing cybernetic eyes, and a strange mark on his neck like a scar shaped like a claw. Ray raised his blaster. Who are you? The man smiled. Relax. Earthman, name's Corinne. I was once a friend. Alira gasped. She knew him. Ray looked at her. You know this guy? Alira stepped back. She looked afraid. She whispered one word. Betrayer. Ray narrowed his eyes. Well, that's not good. Corinne chuckled. Alira, you look well for someone who should be dead. He stepped closer. Ray pointed his blaster at his head. Not one more step, but Corinne didn't stop. He just raised his hand slowly. I'm not here to hurt you, Ray, not yet. But you should know who you're flying with. Ray kept his blaster steady. I already know enough. She's royalty. She's being hunted. You know nothing, Corinne said. She didn't tell you why she ran away, did she? She didn't tell you what's inside that crystal. Ray glanced at Alira. She looked down, ashamed. Corinne smiled coldly. The crystal holds more than energy. It holds the command codes. For the throne, she's not just a princess. She's the last living heir. Ray's grip tightened. Why does that matter to you? Because, Corinne said, I was supposed to protect her. I was her personal guard. Her family trusted me. And then they died. One by one, poisoned, blown apart, betrayed. Alira whispered. You killed them. Corinne laughed bitterly. I wasn't the only one. Ray stepped between them. If you betrayed her family, why are you here now? Because I didn't. Betrayed her, Corinne said. I betrayed the Empire. They were going to use her, force her to activate the weapon inside the throne world, a weapon that can destroy entire star systems. Ray blinked. What? Corinne looked at Alira. Tell him what the crystal really is. Alira finally spoke. The key, the ancient weapon, Sun Destroyer. Ray turned to her, stunned. You've been carrying a Starkiller in your pocket. Alira nodded slowly. I ran to stop war. Ray looked back at Corinne. So why chase her? Corinne stepped closer. Because others want her dead. They think I work for them. I had to get to you before they did. Ray lowered his blaster just an inch. You're saying you're trying to help? I'm saying, Corinne said, we need to work together if we want to live. Ray thought for a long moment. Then a sharp noise echoed through the cave. Boom. The ground shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. Illyra screamed. Ray turned and saw a bright light outside. The cave. Enemy soldiers. Black armor. Red visors. They had found them. Ray grabbed Illyra's hand. Move. They ran deeper into the cave as explosions blasted the entrance. Corone followed. I know a way out, he shouted. Follow me. They rushed through twisting tunnels. Lights flickered. Rocks fell behind them. Footsteps. Voices. Gunshots. Ray fired back blindly. Why do these guys never give up? They're not soldiers, Corone said. They're bounty hunters paid by the new emperor. Ray and Illyra reached a metal door at the end of the tunnel. Corone pressed a code, and it opened. Inside was a small escape ship. Ray helped Illyra in. She collapsed in the seat, breathing hard. Corone looked at Ray. You still don't trust me, do you? Ray stared at him. No, but I trust her. And it hasn't killed me yet. The ship launched into the sky as the cave exploded behind them. Ray took the controls. Where to now? Illyra reached into her belt and pulled out a new map made from the two crystals combined. She pointed to a distant red planet. Ray nodded. All right, one step closer to answers. Corone sat quietly beside them, his face unreadable. Ray didn't look at him. One wrong move, and I throw you out the airlock. Corone smirked. Fair enough. As the stars passed by, Ray looked at Illyra. She had more secrets, and they were just getting started. Captain Ray Carter watched the stars stretch past the window. The escape ship was small, old, and shaking with every move, but it was flying. That was enough for now. Beside him sat Illyra, quiet as always, her glowing eyes staring at the red planet ahead. Her skin looked pale. The crystals in her lap were dimmer now, as if tired to behind them. Corone cleaned his blade silently. The former royal guard was helpful, but Ray still didn't trust him. Not fully. Where are we going again? Ray asked. Illyra opened her hand and revealed a third crystal, golden, different from the others. She pressed all three crystals together. They clicked into a small triangular shape and glowed bright. A hologram lit the cabin. This time it showed something different. A massive circular building on a desert world, buried under the sand. A vault, Ray guessed. Illyra nodded. Ancient ... AI vault. Holds code. Star code. Ray raised his eyebrows. What kind of code? Illyra looked down. The code wakes the weapon. Ray stared. You mean the star killer? She nodded. Ray rubbed his face. Let me get this straight. There's a weapon that can destroy stars, and now we're flying straight to its activation code. Corone finally spoke. Not activation. The code hides the weapon, locks it away. Illyra's family used it to bury the weapon thousands of years ago. Only she can find it again. Ray sighed. Well, that's slightly better. As they entered the red planet's orbit, the sandstorms below made the ship rattle. They flew low, scanning the dunes. Finally, a round stone tower poked through the sand. That's it, Illyra said. They landed at the edge of the ruins. Outside, wind howled. The air was dry and hot. The three moved toward the broken tower, climbing over fallen pillars and ancient writing carved into the walls. Corone read it slowly. Language of the Makers. Very old. Illyra touched the door, placed the golden triangle into a round slot. The door opened with a deep rumble. Inside. The vault was dark and cold, a giant round room, filled with glowing lines across the walls like a circuit board. In the center stood a metal pedestal. Illyra walked to it and placed a hand on the surface. The room came alive, lights lit up, holograms floated in the Aurelian maps, star charts, war logs, and then, a voice. Welcome, heir of Elion. Blood match confirmed. Ray stepped back. Whoa! The AI's voice was calm and female. Please state your request. Illyra looked at Ray, then said, secure the weapon. Hide its path. Share truth. Only with one who protects. Ray blinked. That's me, isn't it? The AI glowed brighter. Transfer initiated. Warning, once code is shared, memory lock begins. What does that mean? Ray asked. But the answer came too fast. The holograms flew into Ray's eyes. He shouted, grabbing his head. The pedestal's light pierced his brain with visions. He saw galaxies spinning, planets burning, armies falling. The star killer, shaped like a black sun, hidden in a dead system. Coordinates, power, history, everything. Then it stopped. Ray collapsed to the ground, gasping. Illyra helped him up. You saw? He nodded. Yeah, I saw everything. It's not just a weapon. It's a warning. Corone stepped forward. And now only you know where it is. Ray stood up. Good, because no one should. Then a noise echoed in the vault. Clank. Clank. Ray turned fast. Blaster up. From the dark came footsteps. A group of black armored soldiers marched in, but this time, they weren't bounty hunters. These had red shoulder marks, military tall. Alien man walked behind them. His skin was gray, his face covered in scars, and his smile was cruel. Corone whispered, that's General Vask. He serves the false emperor. Vask raised a hand. Well, I've been chasing you three across half the galaxy, and here you are, playing with old tech. Ray stood in front of Illyra. You're not getting anything from us. Vask grinned. Wrong. I'm getting the girl, and your mind. He snapped his fingers. The soldiers raised stun cannons before they could fire. Corrin jumped into action, throwing a knife into one soldier's throat. Chaos broke out. Ray fired his blaster, hitting another. Illyra grabbed the crystals and ran toward the back wall. A hidden door appeared. She shouted, "Here!" They ran through, blasts hitting the walls behind them. Vask roared in anger. They escaped into a tunnel that led to the outside, sand pouring in from above. Ray turned to Illyra. "We can't keep running forever." She looked at him. "We fight." When ready, Corrin wiped blood from his arm. "And now we know who the real enemy is." Ray looked at the sky. "Let them come, but they'll never find the code." He touched his head, still feeling the AI's knowledge deep in his brain. The weapon's secret was now locked inside him, and that secret could save or destroy everything. The desert wind blew hard across the landing site. Sand covered everything: the broken ruins, the escape ship, and the tracks that led away from the vault. Captain Ray Carter stood near the ramp, fixing the engine with shaking hands. His body was sore, his mind was still echoing with the images the AI had placed inside him. He had seen too much. He turned and saw Illyra sitting alone near a rock. She was silent, holding the crystals close to her chest. Her silver skin shimmered in the sun. She looked calm, but Ray knew better. She was scared. Behind them, Corrin stood watch with his weapon drawn, eyes scanning the sky. "Vask will come," Corrin said. "He won't stop. You have the code now. You're the key." Ray tightened. Bolton stood up. "Then let him come. I've faced worse." Corrin raised an eyebrow. "You have not." Suddenly, Illyra stood. "I go," she said. "Alone." Ray stepped toward her. "What do you mean?" She looked at him, voice heavy. "I give myself to Vask. He stops. Chase. You stay safe." Ray shook his head hard. "No, we're not doing that." Illyra stepped forward. "I carry danger. If I stay, war follows." Ray walked up to her. "If you go, you die. I didn't pull you out of that fire to watch you walk into another one." She stared at him. "Many die if I stay." Ray's voice rose. "You think I care about numbers? You're not just some mission. You matter." For a second, she looked surprised. Then she looked down. Corrin interrupted. "She's right, Ray. The Empire doesn't just want her. They want control. The code inside you, and the blood inside her. That's how they rule." Ray clenched his fists. "Then we hit first." Corrin smiled. "I was hoping you'd say that." Ray turned to Illyra. "We fight. Together. No more running." Illyra paused. Then slowly, she nodded. Together. Ray went back into the ship and pulled out an old Earth backpack. Inside were the tools he needed: signal boosters, small mines, 2 pulse grenades, and his best rifle. He handed Corrin an extra pistol. "We don't win with strength," Ray said. "We win with brains." Corrin loaded his gun. "Then let's be clever." As night fell, they set up traps across the sand near the ruins. Pressure mines were buried under stones. Signal jammers were placed on high rocks. Ray connected the last piece to his ship's engine core. A remote-triggered overload. Illyra watched quietly. Big boom. Ray grinned. Very big. Then the wind changed. They heard the low hum of ships. "They're here," Corrin whispered. Black ships appeared over the dunes, smaller than before but faster. Dozens of soldiers dropped down in black armor. Vask stood among them, his red cape blowing in the wind. "He shouted. "Bring me the girl and the code or burn with the sand." Ray pressed a button. A mine exploded under the first soldier's feet. Sand and fire flew into the air. Corrin opened fire from the cliffside. Ray took cover near the ruins, picking targets one by one. Illyra held her crystals, standing behind a pillar, eyes closed. She was not afraid. More enemies poured in. Lasers flew in all directions. Ray ducked, fired, moved again. His shoulder burned from a near hit. Corrin was bleeding from his leg but still fighting. Then Vask moved forward alone, walking calmly. Through the storm, he raised his hand. A pulse of red energy blasted the ground, throwing Ray and Corrin back. Illyra ran toward them. Ray looked up, dazed. Vask pointed at her. "You come now, or I kill them both." Illyra stepped forward slowly. "Stop," Ray shouted. "Don't." But she turned and gave Ray a soft smile. "I protect," she said. Then she raised her hands. The 3 crystals in her grip glowed white. Light exploded from her body. Everyone froze. Even Vask stopped. The light formed a giant sphere around her like a shield, like a star being born. Wind rushed outward. The sand rose like waves. The soldiers backed away. Illyra floated off the ground on her alien tongue. She spoke one word: enough. The crystals flew from her hand and struck Vask's chest. He screamed as they burned through his armor. A shockwave exploded, knocking everyone to the ground. When the dust cleared, Illyra fell to her knees. Vask was gone. Nothing but ash remained. Ray crawled toward her. "Illyra." She was weak, barely breathing. He held her in his arms. "Why did you do that?" She opened her eyes. "No more running, no more war." Ray held her tight. "Stay with me." She smiled faintly. "I choose you." Then she passed out. Ray looked at the sky. Heart pounding. The battle was over, but the war was just beginning. The desert moon was silent again. The battle was over. The ground still smelled of fire and dust. Vask's army was gone, defeated. scattered. Nothing remained of the general but a scorch mark on the sand. Ray Carter sat beside Illyra, who lay unconscious on a makeshift bed inside the ship. Her skin had gone pale silver and her breathing was slow. She had saved them, but the power she used had drained her. Ray held her hand gently. "Come back," he whispered. "We're not done." Corin limped into the room holding a small datapad. His arm was wrapped in cloth stained red from the fight. "She's still alive," he said, "but weak. Her energy, whatever it is, burned almost everything inside her." Ray didn't respond. He just kept watching her. "She needs rest," Corin added. "And hope." Ray looked up. "Hope doesn't come easy out here." Corin tossed the datapad on the table. "It might today." Ray picked it up. The screen flickered to life. A coded message flashed, an old rebel frequency. Long thought. Silent. Signal from planet Zephyr. Coordinates attached. Message: Illyra lives. The bloodline returns. All who remain rise now. Ray blinked. "Someone's listening." Corin nodded. "The rebels, the ones who stayed hidden after the Empire fell. They still believe in her." Ray stood up. "Then let's go wake them up." 2 days later, the Starhawk flew toward planet Zephyr. The surface glowed green, covered in dense forests and wide blue rivers. But Ray didn't care about the view. His eyes were still on Illyra. She had started to move again, small signs, her fingers twitching, her head turning in sleep. When the ship landed, a group of armored fighters stood waiting. But they weren't Empire soldiers. Their armor was worn, patched, and marked with rebel signs. A tall woman stepped forward. Her hair was braided with wires, and her eyes were sharp. "I am Commander Vela," she said. "You brought her back." Ray nodded. "She's alive, but hurt." Vela's face softened. "Then we protect her. She is the last true heir. The time to rise has come." They carried Illyra into a forest base built under the ground. Inside were rooms full of fighters, weapons, and old star maps. The air was full of energy, like a fire waiting for a spark, and Illyra was the spark by the third day. She finally opened her eyes. Ray was there, holding a cup of water. "Hey," he said softly. "Welcome back." Illyra blinked slowly, then smiled. "Still alive?" "Barely," Ray said with a chuckle. She sat up slowly. "Vask gone," Ray replied. "You stopped him." Illyra looked around the room. "Where are we?" "With people who believe in you," Ray said. "Zephyr. The rebels." Just then, Commander Vela entered. She kneeled before Illyra. "Your Highness," she said, "the galaxy has waited. We are ready." Illyra looked surprised. She looked at Ray. He smiled. "They think you're their future." Illyra looked at her hands. "I am not ready." Vela shook her head. "No one ever is. But you are not alone anymore." Over the next few days, Illyra walked among the people. Everywhere she went, rebels stood straight up. They whispered her name, some cried. Others touched her shoulder as she passed, as if she were a symbol more than a person. Ray saw the change in her. She smiled more, she spoke more, she was healing and rising. One night Ray stood outside under the twin moons of Zephyr. Illyra walked up beside him. "The stars are quiet tonight," she said. "Maybe they're listening," Ray replied. She looked at him. "You could leave, go back to Earth, back to your world." Ray didn't answer at first. "I could," he finally said, "but I won't." She looked surprised. "Why?" He looked into her eyes. "Because I believe in you, and because I don't belong back there anymore." She reached out and took his hand. "You saved me," she said more than once. Ray smiled. "You saved all of us." They stood in silence. Then alarms rang across the base. Commander Vela ran out. "Empire scouts spotted." 1 hour out. "They know she's here." Ray looked at Illyra. "Ready?" She nodded. "Ready." In the war room, maps glowed. Fighters suited up. Drones buzzed to life. But this time, it was different. They weren't hiding anymore. They were rising. Illyra stood in front of the rebel army, her cloak flowing, her voice strong. "The Empire burned my world. They hunted my people. They tried to break us with fear. But fear ends now." Cheers echoed through the base. Ray stood beside her, rifle in hand. This wasn't just her fight now. It was his too as the rebel ships lifted into the sky. Ray looked at her one last time before the battle, whatever comes next. He said, "We face it together." Illyra squeezed his hand. "Yes," she whispered. "Together." The sky burned with fire. The Empire had arrived. Dozens of black ships covered the stars above planet Zephyr. Red lasers lit up the night. Explosions shook the forests. Rebel outposts fell, one by one. But in the middle of it all, something new stood strong. Hope. Illyra stood on the front line, her silver armor shining. Her eyes glowed bright. Around her, rebels gathered with weapons ready and hearts steady. Ray Carter stood beside her, holding his rifle, wearing a patch on his arm, a small symbol of Earth, next to the crest of Illyra's house. He was no longer just a visitor. He was part of something bigger now. Commander Vela's voice echoed in the comms. "Enemy command ship is holding position. If we take it down, the rest will fall." Ray looked up. A giant shadow hovered above the clouds. It was shaped like a dagger, sharp, deadly slow. "That's our target," he said. Illyra nodded. "We go together." The rebel fleet launched from the surface, fast and full of fire. Ray flew one of the lead ships. Illyra sat beside him, her hands on the console, guiding the energy from the crystals. Behind them, Corrin led a squad of fighters. His voice came through the radio. Punch a hole in their shield, and we'll fly straight into their heart. Ray smirked. I like your style. Enemy fighters swarmed them, lasers flew. Ray rolled the ship hard, dodging blasts. Illyra focused the crystals, sending out pulses that knocked ships off course. They reached the command ship. Its hull was black, smooth, and covered in cannon turrets. Ray took a breath. Here goes nothing. He dove through a narrow trench on the ship's surface, avoiding gunfire. Illyra released a burst from the crystal core. The shield flickered weak for just 1 second. Corrin flew straight in with the others. Boom! The main reactor exploded from inside. The command ship began to fall, piece by piece. From the ground, cheers erupted across rebel channels. The Empire is retreating. They're running. Ray turned the ship away just as fire consumed the sky. Zephyr was safe hours later. The battlefield had grown quiet. Smoke rose into the air, but the sky was clear. The people had survived, and they had won. Inside the rebel base, Ray sat beside a long table, drinking something warm and strange. Around him, people laughed, cried, hugged. It felt ... real. Commander Vela stood and raised a glass. To Illyra the light returned. Everyone cheered. Ray turned and saw Illyra walk in. She was no longer wearing armor, just a simple white robe, like peace itself. She walked to Ray and sat beside him. You did it, she said softly. We did it, Ray replied. They sat in silence for a moment, just watching everyone else celebrate. Then Illyra spoke again. The galaxy is free to choose again. I will rebuild the council. End the blood wars. Open the gates. Ray smiled. You're going to be busy. She looked at him. And Ray looked at the small earth patch on his sleeve. My people will want me back. They'll ask questions. Maybe offer a medal. Illyra took his hand. You don't have to go. Ray looked into her eyes. And if I stay? Illyra reached into her robe and pulled out a golden key, a symbol of the Star Throne. I will offer you anything. Gold, land, rank, even a fleet. Ray chuckled. That's a lot. But that's not what I want to give you, Illyra said. Ray raised an eyebrow. Then what? She leaned closer. A place beside me. The room felt suddenly quiet, like the stars themselves had stopped to listen. You don't have to fight anymore, she said. Just be with me. Ray looked down at her hand in his. He had flown through fire, faced armies, carried a code that could destroy suns, but this moment felt heavier than all of that. I was just a pilot, he said. You became more, Illyra replied. You gave me strength. When I was ready to give up, you held on, he smiled. You did the same. The stars outside blinked, distant and silent. Ray stood slowly. He looked out the window toward the black space beyond. He could go back to Earth. Live a quiet life. Tell wild stories no one would believe. Or he could stay here, with her. With purpose. With love. Ray turned back to Illyra and smiled. I'm not going anywhere. She smiled, brighter than any star. Weeks passed. The rebel forces became a new alliance. Old enemies laid down weapons. Trade routes reopened. Refugees returned home. And at the center of it all, Illyra ruled not with fear, but with vision. By her side stood Ray. No longer a stranger, he taught, flew, laughed, and he learned what it meant to truly belong. The reward had not been gold. It had been purpose, love, and a future worth protecting. And every now and then, late at night, Illyra would ask him, would you do it all again? And Ray Carter always smiled and said, in a heartbeat,